All right, so thank you for joining me, everybody. My name is Gabriel Brent, and we are going to do the APA Swing Pub. We're going to be looking at what has previously happened here in the Forex market, futures market, and a few ETFs, as well as look to see what could possibly happen in the future. So let's go ahead and get started here. So first off, let's start with our Forex markets. All right. So on the big weekly time scale, we've been watching the Aussie yen, and it's come down. It's failed to get into this level again. So I feel like there is some uh, really good supporter demand down here because it just barely, almost touched it, but not quite. We formed a new level there, and we're popping back up. Now, we're assuming that everybody in attendance today does know a little bit about the Zone software. Okay, so if you don't, you're at a disadvantage. I recommend you visit the AppZone's website just so that you can better understand why these levels are the way they are, and why price is bouncing off of them the way that they do, and all that type of good stuff. Okay, so looking at the daily chart, we see prices come down here. It was within like one tick of price actually touching this daily zone. Again, that good idea of demand. We're looking for the pop up and the continuation to do so last weekend. Well, lo and behold, it has happened here. So we are kind of in the middle of this range now again. Okay, just looking at the big daily time frames, but in the bigger time frame, in the weekly level, I mean, we're watching this weekly level, and we're thinking, hey, you know what? Price can be coming back down here. Okay, so on the weekly level, this is an excellent shorting opportunity. It's touching a daily zone inside of a weekly zone. That's really great confluence. And then all we need to look for is our entry. Okay, and that can be happening off of a 60-minute chart. Now, it doesn't look like we have enough 60-minute levels on this chart to find a level that it could possibly be bouncing off of here. So if you ever see that, you can increase the days to load. Just be careful with the software the way that it is. Um, you may not have enough data to go back when price was there, or it may take a little bit longer than what you're expecting. So a year is no problem on a 60-minute time frame, none whatsoever. You could go back a couple years probably. And I'm going to go ahead and do that just to see if we can't find the level up there. All right, so we went ahead and went back pretty much 2 years, um, but didn't find the zone. So apparently there's a level right there that we can really see easily here. All right, and that's okay. But we have an idea of what's going on and why it's doing what it's doing. Okay, so you can see the little retracement that came up that gave us a yellow zone right there, and now it's obviously selling off. So just kind of interesting how that works. So we're looking for the trend to continue on the big charts, on the big weekly charts, okay? And we're looking for the big push down here, okay? Big push down. There we go. You gotta love NinjaTrader and how it's able to do what it does so well with multiple or with single drawing tools and being able to superimpose them on multiple charts all at one time. It's absolutely amazing. Coming to the Aussie dollar. Okay, we've been in a big down push. Um, looks like we have some drawings here, so and we can also see price retesting this big weekly level here as well. So let's see what happens. All right. So, looking at this chart, we have some drawings. and it looks like we were drawing into the idea of, is price going to go above this high or not? We don't know. Um, but we were looking for price to come way up here. All right, so now it's bounced off the weekly level, and let's go ahead and superimpose the weekly level on our daily and hourly charts. So there's the weekly level, kind of like in our previous market. I think that's very interesting, and we see price pretty much doing the same thing that we've seen on the previous market. So it's pretty cool as well. Okay, looking at the Aussie Euro, or the Euro Aussie. We can see that uh, like the other two markets that we're looking at, same type of downtrend is taking place. Looks like we're having more of a little pullback here. Okay, now on this market, I actually remember this from last week. We are thinking that the trend has made a new low, right? And we were looking at price to come back up here and then sell it as it made a lower low. And well, lo and behold, it did make a lower low, but now it's come back up here. Okay, so we're not always going to be perfect on everything because the market can do whatever it wants to. So it did do our little deal here and made a new low, but it wasn't a very substantial new low, and so we see price bouncing to the upside. Okay, now what happens when that happens there? Okay, what do we do when that happens? Well, we can do a couple different things, and it actually looks like I need to reload this chart just so that I can have on a few years of data here. So looking at this chart now, I still think we could get we haven't left the downtrend yet, in my perspective, all right? I won't get too deep into that, but I still see the downtrend being in effect, even though this is a good sized pullback, and price just blasted through this thing today, all right? And that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So do I believe that we could be seeing a retest of this level? For sure. Absolutely. So we're kind of looking for a bigger range here now. This price can come up there. Will it bounce down again? Well, we've had several bounces off of this level. Well, we've had two bounces off of this level. So it could come back down and then back up. Okay, now that is a counter trend type of deal. So I'm just going to put a little CT thing, and we want to follow the trend. Okay, so we want this to happen. Okay, TF, trend follow, right? So we're looking for it to bounce up here and then come back down and retest the lows. All right, so hopefully this is just a big pullback, and we're looking for the trend follow, while the long would be the counter trend. All right. And more than likely what will happen here is if it does exceed this point right there, price will come back to this, reform this area of resistance or supply, if you will, and then come back up. All right. So that's what I would be looking for. So moving right along to the euro pound. Again, downtrend. Looks like we have a failure to make a new low down here on the big weekly levels. All right. So we are getting a retest of the weekly supply zone up there, and we will see what that looks like. And it kind of looks like a little bit of a trading range, to be quite honest with you. So what we're looking at from the past couple weeks, it looks like we're looking for price to continue on down there retrace back up to this level, and that's pretty much what we got. Now it didn't fully touch this zone down here, this nice aqua level that we have down here. Okay, so that is interesting to me, meaning that price really doesn't want to go that much lower. So let's look for this big weekly level to see if we don't get some type of reaction off of that, which is just a little bit higher, like we just need to get a little bit higher than what we have been. Okay, so that's where I'm going to be looking for, and I'm going to be looking for the levels inside of that zone. We have an overlapping zone right there, but we've had a couple bounces on that, so that means that one's weak. So I would be looking for a deeper pullback and for price to be coming up into that area a whole lot more on the big dailies. Okay, so right now, temporarily, because we've beaten this resistance level, we can take it all the way up to this high if you wanted to. So you could be taking a counter trend long, looking for the retest of these previous highs over here. All right. So again, this is the CT trade. And let's say that we're bouncing down here, would be the TF trade. Okay. CT to the upside, TF to the downside, but we need to wait. So let's say wait until we hit resistance. Okay, that's what we are looking to do there. So, or actually it would be supply, but yeah. So hopefully you guys get the gist on that one. Okay, so looking at the euro yen. Obviously, we've seen a really big drop down here. It has made a new low, but it is inside of this weekly level here. So we've seen the initial pop up, and we're really kind of looking for price to go a little bit higher. Okay, we see the daily zone, the purple level that's inside there, and it looks like last week we saw a few different zones inside of this big weekly level. So we're still looking for the upwards move to continue on, looking for it to hit one of these levels inside of this big purple daily zone and to see what the reaction will be there. Notice the epitrender, which is pointing down. We are looking for price to continue on in the downwards trend. So far, I do not see us making a counter trend long play right now. So it still has really good resistance that we need to test up here. All right. So let's just do a little bit of defining. We're going to say TF and CT for counter trend. Okay, so getting a bounce and coming up would be counter trend, but the shorts would be TF. Okay, so I'm just going to extend this line out here a little bit more. All right. All right, so let's move over to our next market. I don't feel like there's really a trade setup here that I would be looking for because it's not hitting a daily zone. So I don't really want to look at the smaller time frames just because of that. All right, so looking at this US yen market on the big weekly charts, it looks like prices spent a lot of time in this area. It is the highest that it's been, and we're making new highs or slightly new high, but we're really kind of stuck inside of a range. So looking at this range, uh, we've really defined it by these two rectangles that we've identified right here, 1 and 2. So we're bouncing back and forth in between those two. All right. So coming into this week, we're looking for the upwards move. Obviously, we put in some resistance. It's bounced off of that resistance. So we're going to see, and we've done the initial money bounce, which is very important inside of the EPA community. So I really believe that we could test the extreme again up here to the upside, but the trender is absolutely flat, again, giving us an indication that price is, well, price is in a range, to be quite honest with you. So we're looking for the breakout of the range, and this could be a great opportunity to buy and sell high. You know, buy low, sell high. That's the name of the game. Or do the exact opposite. That's how we make money in the market. So these are the levels that we would be looking for. So TF would be to the long side, all right, and looking to take this up here. If you want to take a counter trend trade, counter trend would be short, okay, and you might be looking for a nice little bounce off of this blue zone again, okay. So TF is to the long, CT to the short, but we are stuck in the range and looking to break out of it. But again, this is on the daily charts. Don't have a real good entry right now, well, because it is in a range and price is where it is, I think it might be worth looking at the bars just to see if we have any levels in here. Let me see how many days we're going back here. Okay, so we're going back plenty of days, but I don't see the levels up here that I'm looking for right now. Okay, we're kind of in we are kind of in this area. Okay, and yes, there's a daily level here, but I just don't see us making new highs. Okay, so there's really no levels to be taking trades off of or really considering until we get up into where that aqua level and our aqua zone is on the 30 or on the 60-minute time frame, which is at the very top of the daily zone. All right. So we do have that confluence, but until then, you know, trend follow to the long, right? And CT to the short side. All right. So let's go ahead and look at our next market. All right. So this is crude oil. All right. And crude oil, we've seen kind of an interesting thing happen here. It looks like we are seeing the retest of really the 60 level that we were looking at. All right, so let's drill down here and and see what we were looking for. All right, so I'm pretty sure that these are the two kind of motions that we're looking at here on the far right hand side. Looking for it to go and hit right around the 60 level and come back down, or we're really looking for price to reverse here and actually go up even higher. Okay, so it needs to make a new high, which congratulations, it's already done that. and we're looking for it to possibly come back and reform this level here and then make a new high, okay, and continue on with the upwards move. Now, we've been in a downwards push for quite a while, so I do think that we have a little bit more space to the upside here, just because of how it's formed this, and now that we've closed above it, I could definitely see this type of thing working out. So I like the long. Okay, and while the trend follow is technically the short, the conditions that I see going on here gives me context that the price is stair-stepping up, and the long is actually the trend follow right now. Okay, so let's do TF here and CT here. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay, so if we're looking at that, then all we need to do is to look for a place in our 60-minute level where we could get long. Okay, and it looks like right around the 58 point we could actually do something here. That would be a trend follow long, but again, we have to buy low or relatively low to sell high. All right. So let's go ahead and switch to our next market. All right. So now let's move to the ES market here. On the ES market, you can see that we've been doing some drawing. We've had a new high. Remember how we were talking about the new high last week? So we had a new high, and guess what? We've come down and we've retested this big blue zone here. Okay, and we've made a new low, and now it looks like we have an inside candle happening here as of right now. Now, is this going to finish out as an inside candle? I can't tell you, but the market does breathe in and out, so if this is an inside candle, it's kind of like the market breathing in. Okay, so the next cycle should be it breathing out, right? So this is a very interesting area for us to be considering right now. Okay, we've formed a new resistance level up here, and we will see what that plays out to. So on the 60-minute time frames, if we are looking to run with the daily trend, which is up, and the trend really hasn't moved in a while, so even though we've had a new high, but if we are looking to resume with that trend, we're looking to buy low and sell high, right? Because we're in an uptrend. So sorry that there's some extra drawings here. I do look at this on a intraday basis as well. So, but we are looking at the bigger moves of really continuing on with this trend, as we've really just received the first pullback after getting a new high. So I think that's very interesting. Okay, so we will continue to watch this market and see what it does here. But those are my thoughts, so that we have some really interesting levels to like this level that has just been put into place today. You can see where that 60-minute level is, so that we can buy low and sell high in this, and technically speaking, we can, if we're buying down low down here, let's just say, and I'm going to circle this area. If we buy low, maybe we just take it to this high right here for our first target. And then we retest the highs, which is up in where that aqua zone is up there, So those could be two very interesting targets for us if we're taking a level like this, all right? Now let's look at the counter trend idea, all right? Or let's define what a short would be looking like. Well, luckily on our daily chart we can kind of see uh, what that perspective may look like as well. All right, so the long perspective is this type of motion, okay? But the short perspective, if we don't break a new high after this retracement's gone on here, then prepare for the latter to happen, okay? Um, Prepare for this type of motion to happen and for this zone down here to break, all right? So those are both scenarios that you could look for. Now on the big daily chart, where do we want to be taking the shorts? Well, we want to be taking the shorts at resistance. Okay, so we could be looking at the 2107 to 2119. That could be a possible short area. So let's just identify that level and put it on our 60-minute chart, just so we have an understanding of what smaller time frame zones that could be overlapping with. Okay, so for the short side, we could be looking at levels inside here. These two I find interesting. All right. Now this one's been hit a few times, whereas this one has not been hit. Okay. So I would be looking for this one to get hit before taking a possible short position. All right, so boom to boom, something like that. Now, as it's coming down, it's probably going to do something in here, give us a little retest, and then continue on in its way. All right, but obviously this is a little ways from happening. Okay, but I think that's a possibility. The market can do anything that it wants to do. The important thing is that we follow our plan and we write it through no matter what. Now, we are human, so I realize that we make mistakes sometimes, but we want to have a plan of action and when to take that plan of action instead of not having a plan and just letting price bounce through all these levels, okay, or bounce through your level and us not being able to get on board, okay. So that's kind of my thoughts here on the ES market, but I do feel that the trend is to the upside. So don't try to buck the trend. Let the trend be your friend, right? Let's go ahead and move on to our next market. All right. So let's look at gold. Actually, this is the gold ETF, all right, or gold miners ETF. So what do we have going on here? Well, in my mind, we have a couple things going on. We've seen this big down move, and we've seen a retracement to the upside, and then we see another failure of price action getting below here. All right. So as we look at the bigger time frame, it looks like we were looking for price to come into this level, and we define this level as a decision point, okay? Because we think that the downtrend could easily continue on from this level, making a lower high and continuing on in the down move, okay? So let's go ahead and draw a couple trend lines here. Technically, I like that trend line. I also like that trend line here. I believe that trend lines need to be very systematic. So as you look at these things, they have to follow some certain rules that we talk about more in the APA community. But that's where I see the trend line happening. So I see this as a perfect bounce on that weekly trend line. Okay. And it's also a very nice bounce off of this daily zone right here. So that was to the T, spot on way to go, big institutions. And then we see a gap down. So they are really defending this area quite hard. And looking to see that downwards push continue out of this. Okay, so I define that the down is definitely TF. Now, could it bounce out of this level here and come back up again? Absolutely. Okay, so if it does that, that would be, let me just reduce some of these drawings here for us. So the TF is to the downside, and the bouncing off of that would be to the upside. You know, that would be the counter trend right now. All right. So I hope that makes sense. I think the institutions have done a wonderful job here on the gold miners. They're just absolutely superb. So that's what we love to see, is when these price just nails it to the tick and then recoils off of it like that. Great job, you know. All right, let's look at the NASDAQ now. And basically on the weekly, we see an uptrend. We've made a new high on a red candle. So that's kind of interesting. Looking at our context chart, we see that the trender is absolutely flat. Price is just soared above the all-time high here. It's made a new high and it's come back down. And I don't know about you, but if we're in an uptrend, this looks like a pretty interesting place for a retracement. So on the daily chart, I could easily see something like that working out here in our favor. So we'll see if this candle stays an inside candle. It very well may, because a lot of the other indexes were kind of looking like that. But it is bouncing off of a very interesting level here, as we've had a new high, we've formed this level, and now we're retesting that level. So I still think that the longs are the trend follow. Shorts are counter trend, and that's where I'd be looking to take a short. It's up here at this zone. And we will see how that looks. Coming over here to the hourly chart. Excuse me. Had to cough there a little bit. Okay, so coming over to the hourly chart. Price wicked into this on a big hammer candle. We've come back into a little bit of resistance here. Price retested this level a few times, it looks like, during the Globex session. Now we've had a push to the upside, and we've had a small retracement, it looks like. All right, so we don't really want to be buying right here, because in our entry chart, this is a place that we're looking at for being resistance, right? So you don't want to buy into resistance, you know. You want to buy at support, all right? So that's what we're looking at. I think this is interesting, where we define the zone. When we see this little red candle, its low was at the exact bottom of the zone. I think that's a coinkydink? I think not. But I find that very interesting there. Okay, and looks like we can be pushing higher, but getting into this position may be a little bit more tricky. Okay, so we may have to wait a little while before we are able to take the long. Now, this should form into another level, so we may have to wait for a breakout to the upside, retrace into this, and that's when resistance has become support, and then again continuing for the wave motion of the markets to continue on. So I could see something like that, and we will just see how the market progresses from here on out. So this would be a TF trade because we are looking long. And let's say if price reverses out of this and comes back down here and breaks this low, the CT would be the short side breaking this low down here. Okay? So I hope that makes sense to everybody, and we'll be moving on to the next market here. All right, so looking at bonds now, what do we see happening on the bond market? Well, on the bond market, I see a big range happening here. All right, and let's go see what we see on the daily time frame. All right, so we saw price coming out at here from last week. Again, we've kind of identified some of these levels already for us. Because we are seeing this as a range, all shorts are totally classified, or totally, well, they're justified because we know that we've kind of been in a range motion here. All right, so yes, it is in an overall uptrend, right, on the big weekly, and technically speaking, you know, I feel that we're in the range on the daily. Okay, so looking for a retest of this low down here. Price came up, and looks like we actually defined this pretty well from the previous week here. Now, did it bounce off of this level? Yeah, it was really close to bouncing off of it. It didn't quite do it and came up a little bit, but lo and behold, like wherever, for whatever reason why I drew this line here, it looks like it actually turned on that, but I don't think that was exactly planned. So really we're looking at a big range on the weekly, and on the daily, on our context chart, we can have an idea of what's going on here. So that's how I see the bond market right now. So we're really waiting for price to, right now price is in the middle, so we're waiting for the extremes before we do anything on here. So we could look at the hourly just to see if we can't find an entry on here to take it to the short side after beating the bigger daily level. But you know, like if you're able to take a short inside of this zone, as we had just beaten the big daily zone, then you're really not doing a you're doing a confirmed counter trend trade, because we've made a new low, we're selling more or less with the counter trend or the big range type of idea happening off of our context charts. I hope that makes sense, and if it doesn't, please look at the AppleZones community because there's a reason why we couldn't look at it that way. Okay, and we can define it as such. But that's what I'm looking at here on ZB, which is the bond market, and kind of where I see things going from here. All right, so thank you so much for joining me, everybody. Now we're going to get into our live audiences question and answer period. So if you're a live audience member, please stay tuned. For everybody else, thank you for watching this video, and we hope to see you here next week. So same time and same place. So we will see you then. Bye-bye now.